Hello, 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 and welcome to the Matt Skidmore Show. We are sitting just about right now, 21 hours after voting officially began in the 2020 presidential election. And I don't want to brag because, I mean, for a lot of people watching on both sides, whether you're a Trump voter or my audience, I think it's predominantly Biden voters. You probably didn't want this election to be a nail biter. You probably wanted it to be a big red wave or a big blue wave. But I've been kind of saying all along that I thought it was going to be really, 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 really close. And it looks like that's exactly what we got. Let's pull up the electoral college map here. In this video, I'm basically going to go through and talk about the current state of the race. We're going to go through state by state of all the states that are remaining and basically how I see them playing out because it really is interesting when you can pull up these New York Times maps and just go through yourself county by county and look at the data. Right now, Joe Biden is obviously leading with 237 electoral college votes to Donald Trump's 214 electoral college votes. You need 87 to win. We know we know Biden has already flipped Wisconsin. We know he flipped a key congressional district in Nebraska too, which is very important because for reasons we'll explain in a second, based on how the map could play out. And Trump has picked up Maine's second congressional district up here as well. And that leaves us with the swing states remaining, not called as Alaska, but I mean, that's going to go for Trump. So Trump has Alaska, and then this is what it is. It's Arizona, Nevada, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. Now, the first state that I want to talk about is Pennsylvania. Why is Pennsylvania the first state that I want to talk about? Because there's basically no shot that Donald Trump can win this map if he loses Pennsylvania. The title of the video is Will Biden or Trump win? I was thinking about it last night, like when it was super close. I mean, it's still super close. It seemed like last night around like 1, 2 a.m. It felt like the election could go either way. It felt like Biden had a 50% chance. Trump had a 50% chance. It was just, which camp would you rather be? Now I think that's a little different. I think now you'd clearly rather be in the Biden camp. But that doesn't mean that Trump still can't win. But if he is going to win, it's going to start with Pennsylvania. So we're going to go through Pennsylvania right now, county by county, and really get into this and talk about where the votes are remaining and what could happen in this state. Now, right now, 83% of the vote is in Pennsylvania. And I was reading on Twitter that apparently Democratic Party officials, and I also read some of the pollsters, like I think it was Nate Silver or Nate Cohn. One of the Nates on Twitter was saying that they see Biden winning Pennsylvania. I'm certainly no kind of expert or anything. I really don't know anything. I'm just looking at maps and trying to do my best predictions. But I looked at it again like 30 minutes ago, and it's kind of what inspired this video. I really don't see how Joe Biden can come back in Pennsylvania. We're going to get to all the other states, because if Joe Biden wins Pennsylvania, that certainly doesn't mean it's over, right? But we know that Trump has to have Pennsylvania or he's done. Trump is currently up by, it looks like the margin has actually closed here a bit. Trump was up by about 430,000. That lead right now, according to the New York Times, is down to about 350,000. Trump has 3.1 million votes to Joe Biden's 2.8 million votes. Now, why do the Democrats think that they're going to do well? Well, they've been saying that of the vote that's remaining, CNN was reporting that it's about 1 million ballots left, and it's basically all mail-in ballots. I don't want to say basically. I'm pretty sure it's basically it. I said basically again. It's all mail-in ballots. And looking at that, they point to Philadelphia, where you see only 67% of the estimated votes are in, and Joe Biden is winning. Obviously, it's Philly. He's winning 79-20. So you'd think, can Joe Biden close this gap? Can Joe Biden close a 350,000 vote gap? Maybe he has some votes out in Philly. You look at Montgomery County. Joe Biden currently has 270,000 votes to Trump's 170,000, 88% of the votes in. Can Biden get some more margin out of there? Maybe so. Bucks County, Trump's currently up by 4 points. However, with the fact that it's mostly mail-in ballots left, I would imagine that that's going to flip and Biden will ultimately win Bucks County. 19% of the vote remains to be counted. Same thing with Chester County as well as Delaware County. Basically, all these areas in Philly. And then if you also want to flip it out to, I mean, even State College, where the university is, State College, PA. You want to look up in the Scranton area. You want to go out to Pittsburgh, where 21% of the vote is still left to be counted. And Biden currently is up 56-42. Looking at that alone, right, you would think Trump has a legitimate shot, Biden is a legitimate shot. I mean, not even just a legitimate shot. You'd think Biden is almost favored to still come back and win Pennsylvania. This is the problem that I see for Democrats. And it's not something that they can't overcome, but it's something that didn't necessarily exist in Wisconsin and didn't necessarily exist in Michigan at this point in the race when we were counting those states. And that's the fact that there are a lot of red areas that have yet to come in. And now those are still mail-in ballots in the red areas. But I just want to I'll pull up this first county here. Greene County, Pennsylvania. Donald Trump's currently winning with 82% of the vote to Joe Biden's 17%. He's up by 8,000 votes. The county still has 26% left to report. Are those mail-in ballots going to probably be a little more Dem than the 82-17? Probably, but Joe Biden's not going to win them in a county that he's getting destroyed this badly, and there's no way. Now, it's a super small county. Nothing, it pales in comparison to the size of Philly and Pittsburgh. But if we just start looking around the map here, there's a lot of these small little counties that are going to add up and take a dent out of some of the Dem gains that they are going to get around the urban areas. Not Washington County. Beaver County. Trump currently leads by 24,000 votes. They have 24% left to report. Lawrence County. Oops, bad example. Mercer County. Trump currently leads by 20,000 votes. They still have 31% left to report. Crawford County. Trump currently leads by 18,000 votes. They still have 27% left to report. Erie County. Trump's currently up by 13,000 votes. They still have 27% left to report. Westmoreland County, Trump currently winning by 63,000 votes. They still have 14% to report. That's not a big 14%, but in a state that looks like it's going to be razor thin, even though I'm still saying I think Trump's going to hold on, all of these little counties matter. We go over to Franklin County. Trump's currently up by 37,000 votes. They still have 15,000 left to report. Adams County, Trump's currently up by 23,000 votes. They still have 32% left to report. Cumberland County, Trump's currently up by 37,000 votes. They still have 37% left to report. This is a small county, but Genesha, Trump's up 87-12. They still have a little bit left to report. You see this northern county, they still have a little bit left. This northern county is a little bit left. Basically, there's just these small pockets of rural Trump support that, while aren't anywhere close to the amount of votes, it isn't close to the amount of votes that are still remaining in Philly and Pittsburgh. But to me, I feel like it's enough to cancel out the gains that Dems are going to make, because Trump, like I said, he's currently up by 350,000 votes. And if we think that if we think that there's 1 million ballots left to be counted to overcome a 350,000 vote lead, Joe Biden's going to have to win all those mail-in ballots by a 65-35 margin. Is that possible? If the votes really come in Dem in Pittsburgh, maybe. But there's a lot of red area still to come out. So I'm not so sure that Democrats are going to win PA. I think the Trump campaign will hold on. And if they do hold on, that keeps Trump in the game. Let's move out at our map right now. I should have pulled handy a 270 to win map so we could actually see what the situation is. But we're going to give Trump Pennsylvania, and we've already given him Alaska. And Alaska's 3. So add 23 votes to Trump's electoral margin as well. Give him North Carolina and Georgia. We're going to talk about those in a sec. But the next state I want to move over to is Michigan, because what's going on in Michigan right now is basically it's similar to Pennsylvania, but it's different in the fact that do I still think that Trump, well, besides the fact he's leading, why do I still think Trump's going to hold on to PA? Whereas I'll say it right now, I don't think there's any chance Trump comes back in Michigan. I think the state's cooked. That's not that bold of a call with 95% in. But let's just look at the state and you'll see what I'm talking about compared to Pennsylvania. In Michigan, you only have 5% of the vote remaining, and Biden currently leads by 60,000 votes. A huge remaining portion of that vote is in Wayne County, Detroit area. Biden currently is up 68-31. They still have 15% left to report, and that's 552,000 votes to 253,000 votes. You kind of look around, Flint, Michigan, Biden's currently up by 5,000 votes. They have a little bit left to report. Grand Rapids, apparently in Grand Rapids, Kent County, it's red, but the only area left to still report is the city of Grand Rapids, which is blue. Trump is currently narrowly winning this, but it's likely that there's blue votes remaining here. Trumpers won't like that. They'll say it's fraud, but we're just going off of the results that we're getting in. So the question, of course, for Trump is, well, if Biden's already ahead and there's most of the votes remaining are in these blue areas, well, is it similar to Pennsylvania where there's also a bunch of red counties that can help make up for that and then overcome the current gap that exists between Joe Biden and Donald Trump? The answer is a flat no. I'm not going to run through them all, but if you're just briefly looking carefully, all these counties, all these red counties that Trump is destroying Biden in, just like in PA, they're all over 95%. Most of them are 98%. I mean, there's just nothing here left for Trump. So I think Michigan's cooked. I think that Biden will. I think that the networks will call Biden today for Biden. Wait, excuse me. They will call Michigan today for Biden. Let's just check in the chat and see how we're doing. We have a lot of people watching. That's interesting. Okay. So right now, here's what we're talking about. We think that Trump's going to hold on to Pennsylvania. We think that Biden is going to maintain his lead in Michigan. That leaves us, and then I haven't gone through North Carolina and Georgia yet, but my prediction is that I do think Trump will hold on to North Carolina and Georgia. Let's just go on to North Carolina real quick. Look at where we think some of the vote could be outstanding. In North Carolina, 95% of the estimated votes are in. And you'll look, I mean, Greensboro, Biden's run it up there, but it looks like they're fully in. Durham County, Biden's winning by an insane margin, 110,000 votes. But it looks like it's fully in. There's a little bit of votes here, 18% remaining in Orange County, North Carolina for Biden. He's currently up by about 43,000 votes there. He could expand the lead here. We'll go down to Wilmington. There's not much left there, and Biden also doesn't have a huge margin. It's only 2%. We'll look at Raleigh. There's a little bit left out of Raleigh, but again, it's just such a small amount, 6%. We'll look around in some of the red areas. Is there any red vote remaining to come in? There is a few little pockets. You know, I see 95%, 95, 97, 96. I don't see any counties, GOP counties, where there's a significant amount left to come in. But there's just not enough on the table here for me to think that Joe Biden can make up 80,000 votes in North Carolina. I think Trump's going to hold on to North Carolina, but we'll wait for the vote to be counted. We'll go into Georgia here. Georgia is an interesting case right now. It's 93% reported, and Trump is currently up by 80,000 votes. That lead has been closing since last night. Last night, it was around like 3 a.m., 4 a.m., so 12 hours ago. Trump was up by about 130,000. That lead now is down to 80,000. Let's see, though, where are these votes outstanding? Can Democrats flip the state? Well, it doesn't look like it's going to come out of Fulton County, which is where downtown Atlanta is. It says here that 98% of the estimated votes are in. We'll go over to DeKalb. There's a bit out there in DeKalb. Biden's running up the numbers in DeKalb. It's not even close. I mean, these are terrible numbers for the Trump campaign. Biden's currently winning 83-16. That's a 250,000 vote margin. They have 11% left to report. But is that going to be enough? I don't know. There's a lot of small little counties in Georgia. But I mean, you'll see here, Walton County. This is a huge Trump county. It's a small little county, smaller compared obviously to DeKalb, but they still have 11% left to report. We'll kind of go through just briefly scrolling here. Savannah, Georgia, they have a little bit left to count. That is currently a 14,000 vote Biden advantage, 20% left to report. Biden might be able to scrape 3,000 more votes out of that county. But you just go through, there's so many of these red counties that even if not all of them have fully reported in, like you'll see here, Taylor County. I mean, this is super small. Trump's only up by 1,200 votes, but they're going to report a little bit more, 16% left to report. We'll just kind of go through. Atkinson County, this is another small county. Trump up, still has a little bit left to report. Overall, unless DeKalb here well, there's a little bit left in Augusta. I mean, Georgia's basically just, you look at this, Georgia's going to be a nail biter. Georgia's going to be close, but I do think that Trump will hold on to this state narrowly. You do have some Trump areas with a little bit of vote outstanding, like Floyd County here. Trump's currently up by 16,000 votes. 12% of the vote is left to come in. Trump's going to get a few more thousand votes out of there, possibly. Overall, we think Trump's going to hold on to Georgia. So where does that bring our electoral map? Well, again, I should have one ready, but I don't because I'm unprepared. But right now, we have Biden holding on to Michigan, which he currently leads. We have Trump holding on in Georgia, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania, where he currently leads. That would make the election very, very tight, where basically the remaining states would be Arizona and Nevada. And Trump's going to win Alaska. So the remaining states would be Arizona and Nevada. And in that situation, to win the presidential election, Trump would have to win one of them. He would need to win either Arizona or Nevada. If Trump wins Arizona and he holds on to everything he currently has, Trump wins the presidency. If Trump wins Nevada and he holds on to everything he currently has, he wins the presidency. Likewise, if Joe Biden wins both of them, which he currently is leading in both of them, it's narrowly tight in both states, which we're going to go through in a second. We're going to talk about Arizona, which has had a bit of controversy over the past, I guess it really has been almost 24 hours now. Let's talk about Nevada. Nevada, currently we have 86% of the results in, and they've already said, the Nevada Secretary of State has said they're not going to release more results until about 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. So we don't expect anything more in Nevada. But right now it is razor tight. 8,000 vote lead for Joe Biden. That is nothing when you still have 14% of the vote outstanding. Now, the question here is, kind of like what we saw in Wisconsin, where the race has been called for Biden, kind of like what we saw in Michigan, and like what we're going to see in Pennsylvania, even though I don't think it will be enough. I think Trump will hold on there in PA. Are these mail-in ballots that are left? Are they Democrat-leaning mail-in ballots, or are they, day of voters, which that vote across the country skewed heavily for Trump? We really don't have a clue, but this is kind of my theory on Nevada. If you look at the unemployment data for all of the states during the COVID pandemic from March till now, I'll say from February till now, the state hit worst by the COVID shutdowns and the lockdowns, which whether you agree with those policies or not, or whether we needed them or not, the fact is that, lockdowns are bad for workers who get fired and lose their jobs. Nevada got hit harder by anybody else. I mean, Las Vegas, their entire economy is based on tourism and travel and casinos and, partying, the Vegas lifestyle. And The fact is, right now, Nevada has still over a 12% unemployment rate, while the rest of America, every single other state, I believe except Hawaii, is under 9%. So think about that gulf. You have Nevada up here still over 12%, and you have the rest of the country a whole 3 percentage points below that at 9%. Why is that significant? Well, part of Trump's whole campaign pitch is, we need to reopen America. We got to reopen the economy. And he was saying that Biden was going to lock down the economy. Could that message motivate some voters in Nevada who maybe traditionally would vote Democrat or maybe traditionally wouldn't even show up to the polls to come out and vote for Trump? I don't know. We're going to find out. I don't think anybody expected Nevada to be this close, except maybe members of the Trump campaign and team and maybe some of his more confident supporters. But let's just look where the vote's outstanding here. We have to start in Clark County, Las Vegas. 84% of the vote is estimated to be in, 16% outstanding. Joe Biden currently leads by about 60,000 votes, 53-45. Now, this is just with an 8,000 vote margin, without knowing what type of votes these are, and I have no clue. I haven't seen anybody post any hints or any data about it. We just have no clue what's going to happen, I think, with Clark County. I mean, you got to think the advantages for Biden. Reno County has a little bit left. Not Reno County, but where Reno is. Washoe County, Biden has a little bit left. Biden has a little bit of a lead, 4 points there, but they've only counted 89% of the results, 11% left. Biden might pick up a little bit more there, but it won't be by much. That margin's razor thin. Hold up real quick. I got a vape for take a break from this analysis. Let's catch up on the chat real quick. No Way says Democrats are cooking something. Raw Food says Dems are cheating. Sasha says, come on, Trump. I apologize for the break, but I just been talking for like 22 minutes straight, and I need a rest. Who do you think will win? Well, we'll get to that in a sec. I'm done my break. Oh, I need to get a sip of water as well. Sorry, that was probably disgusting. Okay, let's look at this. Story County, Trump currently leads by exactly 1,000 votes. There's 10% of the vote is left to be counted. That's nothing. Trump's not going to get really much out of there. Carson City, Trump leads by 3,000 votes. They only have 12% left to report. Could Trump get a little bit out of there? A little, I guess. Douglas County, Trump leads by 8,000 votes. They have 18% left to report. Trump can get a little bit out of there. You kind of just go through all these rural counties do have a little bit left to report, which is why Nevada is close. And I know I saw that the Trump campaign currently projects that they're going to win Nevada by 5,500 votes or something like that. Now, my policy on just taking predictions or like basically, if you call up a campaign, they're not going to say, oh, we're fucked. We're losing. We're so scared that we're going to lose. Like, if people ask, you're going to say, oh, everything's going great. We're on track to win. Nobody's going to say they think they're about to lose. So if the Trump campaign comes out and says, oh, we're still confident that we're going to win and pull out Michigan, even though I just went through it and they're not going to win Michigan. Sorry, Donald Trump fans. But maybe they can come back here in Nevada. We'll go through Arizona in a sec. Maybe they can come back in Arizona. Shoot, I kind of lost my point, my train of thought. I was ranting about, oh yeah. Just like that, when Democrats say like, oh, we're so confident that we're going to come back in PA, and I just went through the counties and I think it's possible, but I don't necessarily see it. I mean, you just have to take what these campaigns are saying with a grain of salt. But just looking at this, I do think that there are enough rural votes outstanding to cancel out any, like, basically this is the way I would look at it. If you remove Clark County from Nevada, I would say out of the remaining vote totals, even including Washoe County up here, which Biden's currently winning, I think Trump's going to expand his margin in the rest of the state. Now, here's the question. With 16% of Clark County left to be reported, and Clark County contains 74% of the population of Nevada. So in comparison to the rest of the state, Clark County matters a lot more. Is Trump's gains in the rural and up northern parts of the state enough to overcome whatever gains Joe Biden could potentially get out of the 16% remaining in Clark County, as well as overcome Joe Biden's 8,000 vote lead he currently has? I have no clue. I really don't know. I think right now you got to give the upper hand to Biden. But I wouldn't rule out Trump in Nevada. We're going to get more data on that race tomorrow. So let's say, well, we already know if Trump wins Nevada, the race is over. Biden has to hold on to Nevada. If Biden doesn't win PA, Biden has to hold on to Nevada. He has to hold on to Arizona. Right now, Biden's up in Arizona. Let's look at what's happening. And before we do, well, let's just go real quickly. This is the situation in Nevada. 86% of the votes reporting. Joseph R. Biden Jr. currently leads by about 93,000 votes. 93,000 votes. Now, we're going to go on to Twitter here. Twitter.com and look up Nate Silver, who is 538's election pollster. Speaking of pollsters, it's been a very bad day for pollsters. Even though Biden was projected to win Wisconsin, I forget which organization. Oh, it was ABC Washington Post. ABC Washington Post on October 28th posted a poll where they had Joe Biden up 57-40 in Wisconsin. 57-40. And Biden won by 20,000 votes. They were off by 17 goddamn points. Okay, but anyways, let's find this. Okay, so this is from Nate Silver. He says, here's what's left to count in Arizona. At first glance, this would seem quite bad for Trump since it's largely mail ballots. But these mail ballots arrived late in the process and are considerably more Republican by party registration than the ones that arrived later. Interesting. So this article here from Arizona Central says that Arizona has at least 400,000 ballots left to count. And apparently, unlike some of our states up north, and this would bode well if this trend were to hold in, if this is the trend in Arizona, maybe that'll also be the trend in Nevada since they're right next to each other. I don't know if that's necessarily how it works, but basically it's not over for Trump. It's definitely the message we're projecting here. While Biden, like I was saying a little bit ago, I think you would want to be Biden right now, definitely, but it's not over for Trump. Now we're going to talk about the Supreme Court and lawsuits and lawyers and challenges and all that in a sec. But I just want to kind of stick to the raw vote totals and what we have left and try to see what's going on before we talk about all the behind the scenes politics. I shouldn't even say behind the scenes. It's not behind the scenes. All the politics behind this election. But Nate Silver continues talking about Arizona. Trump needs to win the remaining Arizona votes by something like 20 to 25%, depending on how many ballots there are. By party registration, late arriving mail votes were something like plus 19% R by my quick calculations. With that said, there are some reasons to think the late arriving ballots would be less R than you'd gather from party ID. For one thing, the early arriving mail ballots went more heavily for Biden than party ID would suggest, reflecting his edge among independents. Okay, so basically what Nate Silver is saying that it's not over in Arizona, but you'd rather be Biden at this point. Let's pull back up our New York Times election map here in Arizona, and let's go through county by county. So I was looking at this before we started the stream. Before I show you guys anything, if you're a Republican, you're going to like this. If you're a Democrat, maybe it'll make you a little nervous. While we know most of those, they were just talking about Maricopa County and how most of the ballots left in Maricopa County are Republican-leaning ballots. And if you look at Maricopa County, Biden's currently winning by about 100,000 votes with 14% left to be tallied. So if Trump can close that gap in Maricopa County, that's going to help him out. Now, the question is, how much of that gap can he close with the Republican ballots? And also, is there anything left in the state? And the answer is there is. And if you're a Trump supporter, you'll like this. Oh, sorry, wrong county. Oh, sorry, wrong county. What the hell? Oh, sorry, here we go. Pinal County. I really messed that up, didn't I? Pinal County. Trump is currently leading by 20,000 votes. They have 10% of the estimated votes left to be counted. So if with 90% in, Trump's currently up by 20,000. If you count another 10% of the vote, Trump could expand his lead there by a few thousand votes, but that matters when you're trying to close a gap and you're behind. We'll look here at Navajo County. It's pretty much dead even. 3,000 vote lead for Trump. They have a little bit left to report. I don't see much changing out of there. Apache County. This is a Biden area. Biden's winning it by 7,000 votes, and they still do have 37% left to report. So Biden's going to extend his lead there, but that's pretty much canceled out by Mojave County. Trump's currently up there by about 47,000 votes. They only have 4% left to report, but Trump is going to get a few thousand more votes out of Mojave. Coconino, I probably said that wrong. Joe Biden, he's up by 17,000 votes. They have 14% left to report. But Biden's going to extend the lead a little bit there. But you just keep going through Gila County. There's a little bit left to count there. Trump might extend his lead a little. Greenlee County, this is a super small county. Trump might pick up a few hundred more votes. Cochise County, Trump's currently up by 6,000 votes. They have 24% left to report. Trump could get a few more thousand votes here. And then lastly, we go to Yuma. Trump's up by 4,000. They have a little bit left to report. La Paz, they have a little bit left to report. Trump's up. So you look at that and you say, it looks like basically that if the Maricopa County ballots could be read enough they have, as Nate Silver said, a plus 19% registration advantage in the remaining mail-in ballots. You would think there's a chance that Trump could take back the state of Arizona. This is the problem I see. If you notice, I haven't mentioned either of these two super blue counties at the bottom of Arizona. That is, of course, Pima and Santa Cruz County. And that's because Pima County, Joe Biden's currently up by 100,000 votes. 11% of the vote remains to be counted in Pima. Joe Biden can extend his lead there in Pima. And Santa Cruz, I take that back. It looks like Santa Cruz is fully reported, basically. So the problem for that calculation that I just talked about is that Dems also still have votes that they're going to get out of Pima. But overall, looking at Arizona, man, this is a really close election. This is a really, really tight election. I think at this point you'd rather be Joe Biden right now than Donald Trump. This is really quite something. I'm gonna go to the chat in a sec, and we'll take some questions, and then we'll talk about the politics and the lawsuits and fraud. I know that's a big conversation with some of our new Trump supporting members of the audience, but we just got to talk about how wrong the polls were. Is there anybody having a worse day right now than the pollsters? Because Donald Trump won Florida, by Florida standards, he won easily. He won by 3.4 points. Quinnipiac came out with a poll literally a week ago showing Biden up 47-42. How can your poll be so wrong? I don't understand it. We already talked about Wisconsin. We mentioned the ABC Washington Post poll. Though even the Real Clear polls, even the 538 polling average, they had it being a Biden plus 8.4 state, plus 8.4. That means the polls were off by 8 points in Wisconsin. Michigan, the polls were off. PA, the polls were off. Trump won Ohio by 8 points. There were polls the RCP polling average had Ohio tied. That's an 8-point miss. If I sound angry or annoyed, it's because I am angry or annoyed. These pollsters the way I see it is I was always skeptical of the polls just because I think I personally learned my lesson from 2016, my final map, I mentioned at the beginning, I had Biden winning 279 to 259. So I certainly thought it was going to be close, but just the amount of people that, by the time it's like 11 p.m. and Trump's winning in all these states again, it just seems like deja vu all over again. And so many people, it's like their worlds cave in and it seems like their bubbles pop and they're like, oh God, the country's way more Republican and Trumpy than I thought. And it's like, well, maybe that's because the pollsters, they just don't understand what's happening in the country. I know CNN has this weird thing with the way they weight their polls. Their national polls, they would always give Republicans 28%. They would weight Republicans at 28. They would rate Dems at 35. And I'm bad at math, but whatever number for independents reaches 100% in total. Their exit poll yesterday showed that Republicans represented 35% of the electorate. Why do you think CNN's polls were so off? Well, they're undersampling Republicans by 7 points. But anyways, that's polling. Let's take some questions from the chat. See what's going on here. Sean Cat says CNN is total fake fake trash. I generally agree. Someone from Korea asks, who do you think will win overall? You really just don't know. I remember, I know a lot of people who bet a lot of money on this election. And, okay. So apparently we have news here from Mark. CNN just called Michigan for Biden. So I was expecting that. I just went through it about 20 minutes ago saying that Biden is going to win. Let's just I'm going to pull up an electoral map so we can actually see what the fuck is going on here. 270towin.com. Okay. So this is the situation right now. Let's just make this make more sense. Every state that's been called for Biden, we're going to make blue. And every state that has been called, oops, my bad. We have the map up now. Every state that has been called for Trump, we shall make red. And then right now, Nevada leans blue. Oops. Nevada leans blue. Arizona leans blue. And Trump won Ohio. He won Iowa. What am I missing here? Why do I have it as a 269 tie? Oh, shit. I see why. That's incorrect. Oopsie doopsie. Let me fix mains. Yeah. Okay. This is the map right now. This is if everything that currently was happening in the polls, or not in the polls, in the results holds. Biden would win the election 270 to 268. So that's, again, we were just talking about it. If Trump wins, if Trump holds PA, he holds North Carolina, he holds Georgia. None of those are certain, but I personally do believe he can hold all three. He just needs to win Nevada or sorry, Nevada. It's Nevada is pronounced Nevada. Nevada or Arizona, Trump wins the election. Here's the situation. Let's say something bad happens for the Trump campaign in Pennsylvania and they lose it. Is there any path at that point for Donald Trump? No. So, like I was saying in the beginning, everything right now, all eyes are on Pennsylvania right now. Because Trump it's a must win. He must win Pennsylvania at this point if he wants any chance of winning the election. But overall, I before I pulled up the 270 to win map, I was talking about something. But time to vape more. Did Biden win? Wait, are you guys saying Pennsylvania came out? Let's look at Pennsylvania. Well, I'm going to look at a separate tab. Pennsylvania election results. You guys are liars. Trump's still up. But it's closing in PA. When we were reviewing it a second ago, we don't have it up right now. But when we were reviewing it a second ago, Trump was up 350,000 votes in Pennsylvania. Now Trump is only up 320,000 votes. I see a Joe Biden fan, Patrick. You're spamming Biden will win in the chat. He didn't win yet. Is there new data that I haven't taken into account yet? Everyone's saying Biden basically won. Are we saying Biden basically won based on the Michigan call? I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. I don't have the live results up right now. Let me pull up. Let's go back to the New York Times. Overall, I'll talk about the politics of this situation briefly. I do think that this election is so close. And if you watch my channel, you know I've been talking about it for a while, where I basically saw this situation where Trump was saying that the mail-in ballot process was rigged and Dems were going to steal the election. And the fact that Trump was telling all of his voters they need to vote in person and not vote by mail. And then the polls also confirmed this. You basically saw, and at least these polls played out, the fact that a lot more Dems than Republicans voted mail-in, and a lot more Republicans than Dems voted day of. And basically, what was the effective result of that? Trump was going to be leading in a lot of places on election night that Democrats maybe didn't think he would be leading in. And then it would give Trump the opportunity, as soon as Democratic votes started getting counted and those states started flipping over to blue, to say, hey, look, I told you guys they rigged it. They stole the election, even though unless there's actual evidence or documentable proof, you can't just say that ballots being counted the night of the election or the morning after the election are fake votes. You can't, you have to have evidence before you make a wild ass claim like that. And the shit that Trump was saying last night on Twitter, it's really just dangerous for the country. You shouldn't declare victory when the race hasn't been called. It's undemocratic and it's dangerous. But I mean, it's the strategy that Trump's ultimately gonna use. I think that whether we ultimately see Biden pull this out or Trump pull it out, I do think that this is going to end up in the Supreme Court. That's where I think this election's headed. It's a pretty terrible outcome, in my opinion. I don't think it'd be good for the country. I mean, maybe I'm just overly worried, and maybe Trump is going to just be like, okay, I lost. He'll complain, say the Democrats stole it and stuff, but ultimately he won't, refuse to leave the White House. But, I mean, it's interesting. Snow Bunny says, never seen an election like this never seen an election that goes like this. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty young, but who the hell I mean, nobody wants to be counting ballots heading into the almost 24 hours after voting started, but that's the situation that we're in with the pandemic. And you can't just declare that like the mail-in ballot process is rigged and stolen and there's all this ballot harvesting going on and crazy crap, and unless you actually have a certifiable documented evidence of it. And I think a lot of Trump supporters are living in fantasy land. But no offense, Trump supporters. Last X says, it shocked me when Arizona went blue. Yeah, I thought I mean, my call was that Trump would win Arizona. Looks like I'm going to get it wrong if Biden holds on here. But yeah, I mean, it's a real shift, I think. Even though Trump won Texas this election easily, and he might hold on to Georgia, the fact is the Sun Belt is trending Democrat just due to demographics. But we'll see. I mean, the most interesting stat I saw, and I'll get to this question in a second from you, Perdumia. The most interesting stat I've seen so far of this election cycle is there's a county in Texas that Trump lost in 2016 to Hillary Clinton, 63 points to 35 points. So he lost it by 28 points. He actually won it this time around. He won it 53-47, 6-point margin, a 32 point swing. And this is a district that's in the Rio Grande Valley of Texas. It's a blue area. I mean, Clinton won it. So interesting. Weird stuff happening across the country in terms of if you think of like a political realignment. But Perdumia asks, Matt, what do you think of the prospect of Yang 2024 if Biden wins? It's a great question. As you guys, many of you know, I'm a big fan of Andrew Yang here on the Matt Skidmore Show. And I think that if Andrew Yang had been running against Trump, I think the race would be well over with by now. I think Andrew Yang would have won a long time ago because Andrew Yang is a superior candidate to both Joe Biden and Donald Trump, obviously. But what do I think of the prospect of Yang 2024 if Biden wins? Well, I don't know. The one thing I'd always basically thought that if Biden wins, that I mean, I'll just go through it right now. This is what I see happening if Biden wins. I don't see Biden lasting 4 years. I think he's almost 78 years old. I think you've already seen his health decline. I think literally if you look at him speak 2 years ago, you can see a clear difference in cognitive function between then and now, which is a sign of decline. And it's not surprising. He's an older dude. But so, I mean, why do I bring that up? I don't see him doing the full 4 years. And another thing, if you're Democrats and you win this election, why would you give up your incumbency advantage going into 2024? Like, if the idea that I'm sorry. I meant to say I don't think that Biden's going to go 2 terms, but I also don't think he's going to go the full 4 years. And I'll explain why in a second. I just said it out of order. If you're Democrats and you know that Joe Biden's only going to be going 1 term, why would you give up your incumbency advantage and put Kamala Harris through a 2024 Democratic primary where she's just going to get hit by somebody, whether it's like a Bernie Sanders type left candidate or an Andrew Yang candidate? It just doesn't make political sense. So my thoughts are that Joe Biden would actually step down in like a year 3 or 4 for health reasons. And then Kamala would become the president. And in that scenario, Kamala's the 2024 presumptive Democratic nominee. And if she wins, I don't know if she would, but if she wins, she'd be the presumptive Democratic nominee again in 2028, which would put off a Yang presidency all the way until 2032, which would suck because I really do genuinely believe that we need Andrew Yang and that there's not really anybody else in the sphere of American politics that's offering the unique solutions that he is, while also not alienating voters on either side of the political sphere. But this is my big but. I think that the election results last night, even if Biden wins, this is not the results that Democrats wanted. Republicans, it looks like pretty clear that they're going to hold on to the Senate in a rather big way. Democrats had way, way bigger hopes for the Senate, but it just wasn't there for them. And I think the fact that the popular vote, some people thought Trump would lose by 10 points. Right now, it's 2 points. Could it eventually be 4 points, maybe? Yeah. But I mean, that's not, the 10 points that some polls had. I basically think there's people who woke up or maybe thought last night or woke up this morning like, this is not the country I thought it was. And I'm like, well, yeah, if you spend 24 hours a day in Liberalville on Twitter, you're living in a bubble. You like go out into the country for once. I mean, it's like one thing going around campaigning for Yang, you visit like Iowa and New Hampshire and all these places and you talk to people and you realize like, not everything is exactly like New York and San Francisco. But I basically think that Joe Biden almost, if he wins, Joe Biden almost lost this election. He almost lost this election. Like, I just feel like there's an opening. I just think there's a little bit of an opening for an Andrew Yang or some outsider figure to finally take over the Democratic Party, because the Democratic Party is just not, they lost. They didn't even come close to winning the Senate. And I mean, the fact that the Republicans held on to the Senate, that's just going to take away any dreams that Biden actually has of passing some of his more, if you want to call them progressive policies on things like climate and perhaps criminal justice reform. Sarah Henning says, will Trump run in 2024? Maybe. I think he would be like, I was saying a few weeks ago, I was saying that even if Trump wins, loses, I still think he's going to be like holding rallies and be like, yeah, like I still think he's going to be in campaign mode and tweet out and all this crap. Like, I don't think Trump's going away no matter what, but, I really hope he wouldn't run again. Just because, I've had enough. I mean, this is my personal opinion, but I just said I'd had enough of the chaos of Trump. Like, whether you think the chaos sometimes works in your favor or against. I know some Republicans like the chaos, but I just can't stand it. Hobo Star says, Matt, do you think there will be violence after these results from either side? I think so far I'm happy that we haven't seen like what some maybe feared with the civil unrest. But then again, we don't actually have a winner declared. And we also haven't seen, kind of like what I mentioned earlier, what Team Trump is necessarily going to do in regards to lawsuits in the Supreme Courts and lawyers and all that. I mean, ultimately, if Joe Biden were to win the election, according to the election results, and then Trump challenged it, and then a conservative Supreme Court overturned those results, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if it were to happen, that would definitely lead to civil unrest. I never really foresaw a scenario where Trump supporters got like super violent or anything. I could see like the Proud Boys type groups doing that shit. But I think the idea of civil unrest and like the right trying to say it's Antifa rioting and the left trying to say no, it's all like the right wingers rioting. I think that both sides need to just accept that there's kind of like extremist fringe groups on both the left and right, and that they're both in the wrong and that they both are stupid and should be condemned. But anyways, 264 for Biden. What does that mean? Did they call PA? I don't know where you guys are getting your electoral college vote counts, but I think that kind of sums it up. Those are my thoughts on the election. Michael says, I agree, Matt. If the court hands Trump a stolen election, I will quit my job and spend my days blocking traffic till I get arrested. Very interesting. Very interesting. Well, overall, You guys are saying Biden at 253. Okay, yeah, Biden is at 253. If Biden wins one of these remaining states, he wins the race. But that's certainly not guaranteed. We'll see. I said, again, I'd rather be Biden right now than Donald. The Donald. So everybody, make sure you like the video. If you disliked everything I said, make sure you dislike the video. What other? Can I promote myself real quick? I never promote this, but if you would like to become a Patreon of the Zach and Matt Show, that would be awesome. You can become a patron for just $1 a month and help support the content where we make all these videos. Really excited about some wins last night from the Yang Gang. Marilyn Strickland, she was endorsed by Andrew Yang and is a supporter of universal basic income. She became the first ever non-incumbent Andrew Yang endorsed candidate to be elected to Congress. She beat Beth Doglio, who was endorsed by Bernie, by the Burn. And we beat her, so that's exciting. We unfortunately lost Donna Mom's race in Texas. We are still seeing what's going to happen with David Kim in CA 34. He's currently down by 5 points, but about a quarter of the votes left to be counted. We'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes. But oh yeah, and Jermaine Johnson officially won. A lot of other wins, a lot of losses, but that's going to happen when you're challenging incumbents, and challengers only beat incumbents something like 8% of the time. So anyways, take care. Thank you for watching. We'll see what happens with this election. It's been a crazy 24 hours, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.